I wanted to talk a little bit about the whole conspiracy angle that a lot of people take. Um, you see this especially among libertarians and other sorts of people, and there seems to be a great deal of conspiracy overlap between the sort of white nationalists and libertarian fringers. Um, I'm not gonna, you know, it doesn't really matter whether you think the conspiracy is between the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds or some world jewelry or anything like that. it's it's wrong on so many levels. First of all, thinking that a group of people could orchestrate something like the economic collapse, for example, for their own gain is crazy. That is something that's not possible. You can't control the economy in that way. That's the same reason socialism won't work. So really these people who are talking about these, secret liberal groups like the Bilderbergers and whatnot, having some grand orchestration and control over the economy, are attributing to it the very abilities that they claim to have. And it's the same thing with the Nazis and other people who talk about the Jews. If there's no way that these people could have that degree of control, and it's obviously ridiculous. If you take all the different things that they assign to being controlled or manipulated or created by the Jews, you pretty much end up with the theory that all of Western civilization and culture and technology was in the hands of the Jews, in which case it actually is kind of funny because it makes the Jews out to be a master race that can do things that nobody else can, which is pretty weird if you're trying to make some sort of case against Semitic dominance. Um, there are other problems too. Uh, First of all, politicians, for the most part, are not sociopaths. They believe their nonsense. It's in their interest to believe their nonsense. They're more effective priests if they believe their nonsense. And they believe these things for various reasons. One, just because it's in the culture they were brought up in. Two, like I said, it's in their interest to believe these things. And three, because this ideology attracts people who are inclined to that in the first place. And then once they get into the government or the media or the academia, not that there's really a huge degree of separation, they're constantly reinforced into this idea. And the higher and higher you go, the more and more really dedicated people there are to this ideology or set of related ideologies. And the leftist gestalt does control most governments in the world and most academic and media institutions, but it's not some grand coordinated conspiracy. That's not even how the left works in the first place. And secondly, it's not necessary. It's not necessary to explain what's going on. It's an unprovable and pointless hypothesis that is psychologically unrealistic to just say that, they're all manipulating and scheming to get our money. Now, they do get a lot of money and power out of it, and that's certainly something that would motivate them to continue on this path, but that's the same thing with, various priesthoods in the ancient world and so forth. Yeah, I think a lot of these people did believe in one way or another in their magical sky beings and mystical invisible entities and stuff. The fact that they get a lot of money and power and status by doing so only reinforces their tendency to believe it. I suppose that's pretty much it. This whole conspiracy thing is weird and pointless, and it really distracts from the real issues. I mean, take Alex Jones, who's always talking about, some things that are true, the Federal Reserve and various sorts of things like that. And yes, there are small conspiracies, I don't doubt that, but there's no grand unified conspiracy behind it. The Federal Reserve doesn't suck because the Illuminati and the Jews set it up. It sucks because inflation sucks and government bureaucracies suck, and because fiat money is a horrible system. Even if it was set up, by benevolent angels, it would still suck. And the fact that it was set up by a bunch of bastards is irrelevant. I mean, it doesn't matter. and they're all dead anyways, so I don't even know why he's going on about this. Well, I do, because he's crazy.